I think Death Battle is just trying to put me in their debt at this point, but I am still so grateful. Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and next time on Death Battle, we have Ghost Rider from Marvel versus Spawn from Image Comics. And this is, yet again, one of my most wanted death battles ever that is finally happening. I think it's like the 6th or 7th time within the last couple years that one of my top 10 most wanted episodes is now just becoming an episode. I have no idea how this keeps happening, but I will absolutely take it. I am so excited for this. I feel like I'm getting the hype that a lot of people got when Kratos versus Asura was confirmed to happen, or when we were building up to it, you know what I mean? So I am so excited for this. I think this is such a perfect match that works in so many ways. It could be insane in every single way. So yeah, I really just can't wait for it. I have nothing else to say. So jumping right into this, the first thing you'll notice about this debate is that both Ghost Rider and Spawn are similar in a lot of ways, and a lot of important ways. They can both threaten insane demonic and angelic forces from their own series. They are both basically physically indestructible and have ways of attacking both mentally and spiritually. With Ghost Rider spiritually, you have Hellfire, and with Spawn you have Necroplasm, among other powers, but we'll get to that later. They both have other similar abilities like telekinesis, teleportation, dimensional travel, matter manipulation, illusion creation, and the list frankly just keeps going on and on and on. Zarathos will most definitely be included for the Ghost Rider, and while I don't anticipate that Spawn will be given access to super forms that he does not have access to anymore, he has gotten strong enough to the point where he can match the Satan and God of his series without those extra forms, so it's not as big of a handicap as maybe it would be earlier. What's also interesting is that both Ghost Rider and Spawn have their own quite identifiable advantages over each other, but a lot of that is rendered moot by the other character's survivability. For instance, you have the cosmologies of both Marvel and Spawn, which are quite layered and have different levels of heaven and hell and all of creation and all of that, but Marvel's is still quite a lot larger, to the surprise of basically nobody. And Ghost Rider, and especially Zarathos, is really high up that ladder, just like how Spawn is in his own creation. Zarathos can overcome Mephisto, who had fought on par with Galactus and other incredibly strong characters. Doctor Strange was certain that Zarathos had surpassed both him and World War Hulk in power. He could even take on the Archangel Zadkiel, who assisted in creating the Ghost Rider. This is the kind of shit that we're looking at for Zarathos' physical strength and power, and Spawn's cosmology just cannot compare to that, let alone the Satan and God of the Spawn world technically not even being the most powerful beings there. It's kind of complicated. But like I alluded to earlier, this fact is not enough to ensure that Ghost Rider can win. Both Ghost Rider and Spawn are basically unkillable in the physical sense. They're not unkillable period, but you either need a very specific weakness or a non-physical thing that they haven't resisted before in order to do some kind of damage to them. Ghost Rider simply existing in this larger cosmology does not allow him to automatically beat Spawn. And this is because Spawn can do things like manipulate his own body at the atomic level, resist a lance that erases things from existence physically, and escape from hell after he does die, if he even dies in the first place. And Spawn doesn't really have a weakness to holy stuff anymore, so Zarathos just being a holy angel or whatnot doesn't close the case either. Plus, I imagine they're going to be around the same in terms of speed. Ghost Rider should scale to immeasurable feats, and Spawn does not exist within linear time. I wouldn't be surprised if quantifiably Ghost Rider is a little faster, although Spawn does have precognition, and generally speaking, they're doing very similar things here. But now let's look on the flip side. Spawn is an insanely versatile character, and a lot of that versatility translates to specific hacks that would normally be game over like right off the bat in most other fights. The problem though is that Ghost Rider has resisted a lot of them, like probably more than you would expect. He's resisted Hellfire, making Spawn's Necroplasm essentially useless, and the same goes for mental attacks. He's interacted with non-physical beings, he's resisted being transmuted or having his powers stripped away, he's even reversed the effects of reality warping through sheer force of will. Somehow. I have no idea how, but Yeah, Spawn can stop time, which might work, but it should also be noted that the speed of Thor's hammer Mjolnir at its best is well established to transcend space and time, and Ghost Rider's Hell Cycle is somehow even faster than that. And this is all on top of Ghost Rider's physical durability, which again is basically the same as Spawn's. So again, you can talk about, super cosmology or ridiculous hacks all you want, but it really doesn't apply with these characters, at least not in the general sense. You really gotta look at the finer details. That's the only place where any sort of reasonable outcome is gonna come from. So let's start with how Ghost Rider could potentially kill Spawn. Again, there's not really a holy angle that we can use here, but we could potentially use a spiritual one. We know that Ghost Rider's Hellfire can attack souls directly, and his Penance Stare can completely destroy them without sending them to hell. Spawn is a little weird though, because not only has he regenerated his soul before after it was damaged and can straight up resist it being taken from him, but there was also a while where he had several thousand extra souls as like an extra part of him inside of him that acted as a sort of spiritual defense, although I do not believe this is the case anymore. But if it is included, or if Spawn has gotten something similar to that since then either Ghost Rider would have to use the Penance Stare on Spawn thousands of times before he got to the right soul, or if he is able to use it on all of them at once, then that shouldn't really be an issue for him, as he's used it on a whole city at once, and that evidently has a lot more souls to deal with. And I don't believe we've seen Spawn regenerate his soul from nothing before, although he can still actively protect it, and we have seen symbiotes in Marvel like Venom sometimes resist the effects of the Penance Stare, so if it is something that can work for Ghost Rider, if it is a legitimate win con, then it might have to be a Penance Stare from Zarathos himself, just a little extra dosage to make sure it works. Spawn also has his own Penance Stare style move where the target feels all of the pain that they have ever inflicted onto others. And with all of the Penance Stares that Ghost Rider has dealt out, you could say that this would be very effective. However, this is still, for all intents and purposes, a mental or emotional assault, which Ghost Rider can resist. So, the effectiveness of all this stuff, it's really up in the air. Spawn was also given a giant holy blade by the Mother of Miracles, known as the Sword of Spirit, or the Word of God, which can presumably annihilate anything instantly. That's it. That's the description. What more do you want? Now, I'll be honest, I could potentially see Death Battle arguing that this is a legitimate way that Spawn could kill Ghost Rider. But plot twist, Ghost Rider has operated just fine against holy things before, including fighting against holy beings like Zadkiel, and he has resisted existence erasure from the Flames of the Faltine, both of which should be stronger than that sword and its properties. At this point, it just feels like Marvel is trying to reinforce the idea that the one thing that can kill a Ghost Rider is the one true god. Although we may not want to take that literally, I'm just saying that's what it feels like sometimes. So the problem that I have faced when trying to analyze this fight is just the fact that there does not seem to be a 100% definitive win con on either side here. There are things that might work under the right interpretations, or things that maybe would have worked on them better earlier, but now in their development, not as much, even if at all. But nothing is guaranteed to my understanding, which is frustrating because usually I like to try to lock that down for these predictions, like specific win cons, but what do you even do here? Like, the survivability of the characters is just ridiculous. With all that being said though, I am willing to bet that this fight will not end in a draw, because like I said, there are strings you could pull on both sides here, and I think Death Battle's just inevitably gonna come across something that they interpret as being good enough to finish the job, and I'm willing to accept that that's the way it's probably gonna go. So I feel like the last thing I can do now is do what I did in my Joker versus Giorno prediction and try to determine who is technically harder to kill between the two through any distinctions. And while that still feels pretty impossible, as far as their survivability versus each other goes, logic primarily dictates to me that that would be Ghost Rider. I'll be honest, Mephisto is not the strongest Marvel character out there if you're looking at like anybody and everybody. However, cosmologically speaking, he should still be more powerful than Spawn, even with Spawn being able to take on God and Satan, as the heaven and hell that they rule over are not the highest planes of existence in the world of Spawn, with a less complex creation, all that stuff we've already talked about. And Mephisto has fully admitted that he cannot kill a Ghost Rider at all. So, whether or not you believe the whole one true God thing or whatever, this seems pretty set in stone because he has tried to kill the Ghost Rider before and he just says he cannot do it. It is impossible. And it's not just that Mephisto is more powerful than Spawn, he has basically all of the same powers and hacks that he does, or potentially even more just by virtue of being a Marvel Demon Lord. As far as individual powers go, there's not much that he couldn't just decide to do on a whim through his sheer reality warping, and if he's saying that he cannot kill a Ghost Rider, period, then I'm sorry, I just don't see there being much hope for Spawn doing it. Spawn can gradually increase his power over the course of a fight, but the gap is just too wide for something like that to matter. And unfortunately, we have now kind of gone back around to the whole cosmology side of things. Ghost Rider or Zarathos may not be able to kill Spawn just by being that physically powerful, but that power applies to a lot of their specific abilities as well. They've been used effectively on characters more powerful than Spawn. Ghost Rider has resisted abilities more powerful than Spawn's. Hell, he's probably negated some resistances that are more powerful than Spawn's. Like I said, I'm not that great with definitive win cons here, but if one of these characters is gonna have something that's just gonna power through or generally succeed, I think it's just gonna be Ghost Rider. Spawn does have some arguments you can make for him, specifically the Sword of Spirit, as it was given to him by the one true god of his world, you know, the Mother of Miracles, but quantifiably, I still want to say that Ghost Rider has just taken on and survived worse. I am interested in seeing what Death Battle brings up that I have missed, but generally speaking, by default, I think I'm in Ghost Rider's corner right now. But with all that being said, I am incredibly excited for this episode happening, and no matter what they do, as long as they put something together that makes sense and they make something entertaining, I know I'm going to be satisfied. This matchup is just so cool. Let me know what you think. What do you think of the matchup? Who do you think is going to win? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed this video, of course, give it a like, comment your comment, subscribe if you could too. That would be amazing. That would really help the channel out. But no matter what you guys do, thank you all so much for watching. And yeah, that's it for me. I will see all of you guys in the next video. Peace out.